Hey, this is the Hebrew Hillbilly with producer Jeeves here. We're going to do a short video this time around. Excuse me, because, well, quite frankly, the Indy 500 is running and I want to go out and watch it. And we're doing a fish fry, so hey. But we are going to start out with something. I was going to start out with a pretty deep subject, which we've moved on to next week about men's health and the veteran suicide crisis and things like that. Mainly because it's going to be a much longer and probably more in-depth video, so it's something that's going to be on its own. But one thing I did want to talk about was this, and it's something that does give me inspiration because I've been one of those people who has been privileged to see the way most people in this world live and understand just how lucky we are to be Americans and to live in this great country. I came from, let's just say, extremely modest beginnings. Uh, yeah. And I've been able to work myself into a pretty solid middle class and secure life. It took a lot of effort. It took a lot of things that many a times I failed at different things I tried to do. Far more often than not, I failed. But that's something I've learned that if you can succeed 10% of the time, and yeah, 10% of the time, you're okay. Because about 90% of the time, plans just ain't going to work out. Uh, but if, like I said, if you can succeed 10% of the time, you're going to do well in this world. And it takes it more than talent, because I've known a whole lot of talented people who never got anywhere in their lives. I've known a whole lot of talented people who ended up in prison. Uh, but I've known a whole lot of people who weren't particularly talented, weren't particularly intelligent, but the one thing they had was ambition. They had that just driving need to succeed. And quite frankly, I think ambition is probably the most important part of that. Because like I said, I know a lot of intelligent people that are successful and a lot of intelligent people that aren't successful. I know a lot of talented people that are and are not successful. But every ambitious person I've known, whether they were talented, uh, or intelligent or didn't have a scrap of talent and were dumb as a bag of shit, they were still able to at least achieve some level of success. So ambition is what's important. The drive, that's what does it. Another thing I was going to talk about a little bit that producer Jeeves brought up because he's been watching some videos. He's been talking to some people, and he's been reading a bit about the different
Is the stuff with all these like fucking tourists going to other countries and like causing a mockery, and it's always Americans. This is where
yeah,
it comes in.
yeah, people when you're going someplace else, pump your brakes a little, okay? Okay. I know we're used to instant gratification, and we're used to having every one of our needs met the instant we have them needed. We have them, whether they are actual needs or just wants from being spoiled. But yeah, there's nothing so tragic about having to wait an extra hour and a half in an airport, or there is nothing that is life altering about missing a flight or being overbooked or having to stay an extra day somewhere or being mildly inconvenienced. I mean, you got to really think about this. This time 100 years ago is the best way I can look at it, because the progress of humanity for hundreds of thousands of years was glacial. But for the past 100 years, well, actually 250 years, but in particular for the past 100 to 150 years, our progress has gone off like a rocket. Okay, if you think about it, 100 years ago, it the things that we complain about being inconvenienced for now weren't even a possibility. I mean, no,
Just just as
yeah,
a quick reminder, about 100 years ago was roughly 3 years into people being able to own fucking private vehicles that went like a max, what, 30 miles an hour?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We went from uh, I don't know, not '06 or '08, 19. That is '06 or '08. When the Wright brothers first basically took off in a kite with a lawnmower engine on it, to the point that in 1969 human beings placed their feet in the dust of another celestial body. For God's sakes, you're not being inconvenienced by being held up a day or two. Think about it. I mean, until our interstate system was truly established, if you wanted to travel across this country, it still took more than a week, and you had what was it, like a 30% chance of dying in a train accident.
Yeah.
50 years before that, it took 6 months or a year to get across the country, and you probably wasn't the one that was going to make it. It was going to be your kids. It was going to be a whole other group of friggin' people that started from the beginning because you all got killed by buffalo and dysentery and Indian tribes, and you had like that much chance of making it, but you still did it. Now you watch you watch some really crappy movie, or maybe take a nap, and in 2 hours you're there. You're on a plane. There's nothing to it. It just people, when you're in those places, and I know it's easy to get. I understand it is easy to get frustrated with these things. And yeah, being a little comical about it, but that's something that does help me to think about that whenever I'm in one of those situations and I'm thinking, God, really, I'm gonna do it. I think to myself, whenever I'm in a situation, and this will play into depression and things like that, the things that we'll be talking about next week. Seeing the way other people live, that's one. A lot of people look at it as disadvantage, but I looked at it as an advantage to being in the Army. Was when you're in the Navy or the Air Force, you're around bases, you're around infrastructure. It takes things to support to support those branches of the military, like complex infrastructure. So you're not going. You will be like something. My kid brother was in the Navy. And that's one of the things we used to talk about. He'd talk about going to this place and, spending the night in a hotel or going out on shore leave and getting hammered and having fun with his buddies and shit like that. And I'm thinking, well, yeah, I was in that place. But, yeah, I was taking a dump in a hole that I dug in the desert, making sure I walked far enough away that it wouldn't stink up my foxhole that was, that I was living in, fighting off dung beetles and those friggin' spiders, God, and the scorpions that would crawl in there and try to stay cozy with you at night. But that was the advantage of the Army, at least for me, and at least for my mental health, because I've had issues. Everybody does, where they're going through things, but the seeing, living in America and thinking, my car sucks. It only runs half the time. I can barely afford my bills. I sure as hell ain't gonna be able to buy cable, or back in them days that was a big thing. But now I guess you'd say like internet and computer stuff and all the electronic gadgets and stuff. But I can tell you right now, if you took the lowliest bum living in the United States, living under some bridge somewhere, honestly and truthfully, 60% of the population of this world would gladly trade places with this man, just for having the opportunity to be here. Because just being in America, I have to admit, after seeing the way most of the other world lives, just being born an American means I won the lottery. Okay, that's just a fact. And it's something that you can look at that can help you to take heart in bad situations whenever you're not feeling too hot about the way your life's going. There's a whole lot of people out there that got it a whole lot worse than you do. And in those situations, especially if you're in another country, understand America. I mean, that is another huge problem with Americans. We look upon the whole world as why aren't they like us, or as that people who don't have experience in other countries uh, wonder why things are different, and things are markedly different, even in first world European countries, if you can call them first world. Yeah, I said that about you. Fuck Europe. Uh, yeah, yeah,
Hey, you've seen how fucking bad things are
yeah,
there now. It's
yeah. Forget about it. Yeah, fucking forget about it. But yeah, it's things are different, and let's not. I mean, let's try not to embarrass ourselves, let alone our country.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't be like these dickheads who have gone to Japan and vandalized the fucking trees that have been there for fucking over since before the fucking bombs dropped.
Mhm.
You know, like just
Some of them been there since before, since before Admiral Perry opened fire in it's the capital, Tokyo. What do they call it back then? I can't remember, but it's basically Tokyo Harbor. But and opened Japan up. So for hundreds of years, thousands of years, some of these structures, some of these are old countries. Okay, we live in a young country. They have things that are sacred to them,
yeah,
and
and
trust me, they're not as
just just as a fucking example, there was just a few months back some obese woman who climbed up on a sacred cherry tree. They're sakura trees with the pink leaves,
yeah.
and it collapsed, and she got arrested because, as it turns out, in Japanese culture, those trees house the souls of their fucking dead. Okay,
Yeah, that's exactly what we're saying.
that would be like
And yeah, I mean, we talk about America. Well, we don't talk about it because I know it's horseshit about racism and xenophobia in the United States being such a horrible and prolific thing. It's not. Trust me. Okay, trust me. I've been to a lot of places. Anyhow, there's things to say about that. We may get into it. I'm not going to sit here and degrade other countries. It's their culture, and they can hate anybody they want. If you want to be racist, like I said, you want to call me a sheeny scumbag or whatever you want to do. That's one of the privileges of the United States, is being just as hateful a scumbag as you want to be. Okay. Uh, but I said I don't personally espouse that type of behavior, but racism and xenophobia are ingrained in the vast majority of countries and cultures of this world, and quite frankly, I'm not gonna
just
disparage them because of the way they live.
just to give you an example about how bad racism can be in other countries. Look up racist Chinese laundry detergent ad on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't get it. Honestly, I take that back. He don't say anything about that. He didn't say that. Don't look up racist shit that the Chinese or the Japanese or that other Europeans or that African nations do. Don't. You're gonna put yourself in a rabbit hole that you're gonna you're gonna turn the men's psychological and emotional health. Uh, uh, Video that we're going to do next week into a 3-day marathon. You start looking that shit up, especially if we start taking calls, because trust me, this is something I like to tell people when asked about it, to make it as short as possible, to try and put a short or fuse on what's already been a long conversation, because I want to go out and watch this race. America, and this is the truth, regardless of where you're from, regardless of what your opinions are, I've seen it and I know it to be true. And this is from a kid who was a liberal who bitched and whined and had, I felt at the time, I know now I was full of shit, but because of poverty and because of the disadvantages of which I had grown up, I felt that America owed me, this owes me, that, I was one of those, and going and seeing these other countries and how people live and how they are happy living in the ways that they live, but what they live without that we take for granted, and that is that America is that bright shining light off in the absolute darkness that everybody else tries to kind of cling around to stay warm. The world is a dark, dangerous, evil place. There is a lot of bad in this world. And being from America is one hell of an okay place to be from. I just have to say, not to discourage or denigrate any place else, but I sure as hell could if it would only take that to start. And in that, I do have to point out one other thing that I thought was the absolute most hilarious thing that I'd seen in a while. Harrison Ford, the great Han Solo. I saw, I think it was a short. I'm not going to say on which platform it was. YouTube. Yeah, okay, it was YouTube. I'll say it. There was a short of him doing a commencement speech. I think it was in Arizona somewhere. There, the heading at the bottom cut off before, but it was like ARI. So I figured Arizona, or maybe he was talking into an areola. I don't know. But he was doing this talk on social justice and the evils of climate change. And I mean, he was just hitting every woke, limousine revolutionary, trust fund communist talking point that he could hit. I mean, you'd have been proud of him. If you have purple hair or, 20 to 30 pounds overweight and love to scream fascist in the face of people you don't even know, you would have been very, very, very proud of Harrison Ford. You probably wouldn't have even been that upset that he didn't identify his pronouns, or all 93 of them that he had to have to make you happy. But at any rate, he was just going on. He was both just guns a-blazing on this whole situation. But I also heard on a news program of a fellow member of the tribe that I like listening to. Maybe one of these days we'll have him as a guest. Probably not. He's a little classy for us, but but he was sitting there talking about something that just happened that was reported. I believe it was in the New York Post, that the that the UN has rescinded and most of and reevaluated their climate models that they've been using for the past 30 years because, well, quite frankly, there were several of them that said that 2 years ago, Miami and New York would be under 25 feet of water, which never happened. Go figure. Oh, no, Miami's a nice place. I like it. Yeah. Yeah, but New York, could you imagine the pollution that would be drug out to sea? All that bum shit just being swept off the streets and into the ocean. That'd kill. That'd cause a dead zone for fish for 1,000 miles around there. But at any rate, yeah, it just because their models were too extreme and proven wildly inaccurate. Mr. Ford, I know you're an old guy like I am, and I just learned a few years ago the advantages of the smartphone, and I know you've still probably got your flip phone with the big numbers. Especially, you probably ought to have those big numbers put into the cockpit of your airplane. Considering what's happened the last couple times you tried to take that bad boy up, dude. I mean, there comes a time when you shouldn't be driving on the street. I mean, and sure as hell not flying. Come on now. Okay, we all get old. I quit riding a motorcycle because of old injuries. You don't see me taking a plane up in the air, for Christ's sakes. But anyway, we're going to leave that alone. But next time, it would probably be more beneficial for you, Mr. Ford, if you're going to take a stand on some type of social justice or ecological justice or whatever, to actually understand whether or not what you were talking about was actually something anybody gave a shit about. So we'll leave that alone. Everybody just thought that was hilarious. Here he is piping up and fighting social justice and doing that good Hollywood. And that's another thing. That's the thing that bothers me most. Why in God's green earth would I listen to Harrison Ford? Okay? Think about that shit. This is a guy who since the 70s has literally had enough money where he wouldn't even have to wipe his own ass if he didn't have to. He could hire somebody to wipe his own ass, and they do it happily. This is a guy who does not live in the real world. None of these stars do. I mean, what was that really good actor too? I'm not going to say he's not. Just like the Joker guy. Of course, that second Joker movie. Oh shit! I was thinking about suing the producers of that movie for stealing those hours from my life because I can never get that back. And man, that was a bad movie. But still talented actors. The Miss Gaga. Shit, I said that. Lady Gaga. I know I said that wrong. I apologize. I wasn't demeaning her anyway. She's a hell of a singer. Shit, in my opinion, probably the next Barbara Streisand. Oh, no, I don't mean she's a bitch like Barbara Streisand. Barbara Streisand's
I mean, honest, that's more accurate than you think.
Yeah, well, we'll leave that alone. Barbara Streisand, yeah, but Barbara Streisand's an incredible singer. She's a bit of a twizat, too, but she's an incredible singer. But, no, what I mean, as far as talent goes, and Phoenix, Joaquin Phoenix was his name. But what was that? He came on a few years back and was going to do his part for social justice and global warming by not taking his tuxedos to the dry cleaner or some feeble-minded shit. Like, I mean, just incredible stupid things. I mean, I'm not taking social advice from Otto the Garbage Man. Why would I take it from some asshole star? And honestly, if I was going to take it, if there was a choice between some Hollywood star and old Otto the Garbage Man, I'm going to listen to Otto the Garbage Man. Me and him have a hell of a lot more in common than me and some dickhead who flies around on a private jet bitching about carbon footprints or owns a 7,500,000 square foot house with 19 pools and bitches about the lack of water in California, for God's sakes. Yeah.
My advice to anybody, don't listen to advice from somebody whose job it is to pretend to be somebody else.
Yeah. And remember, the vast majority of those in Hollywood are coked up Satan worshiping junkies. So we'll just, leave that alone. Okay. Now, no piss breaks, no nothing. We're going to go straight into this. How long is this thing gone? It's gone too long, hasn't it?
22.
Okay, so we're going to be cutting it a lot shorter. I'm talking faster than I thought. Like I said, I want to catch the end of this race, and like I said, the fish is cooking right now. The movie we're going for, Norma Rae. Real good movie. Sally Field, great movie. She, back when she was young. Good union movie. It's about the textile industry, and it's just a good movie. Go ahead and watch it. I actually caught it on... it was one of those deals where you can just type in the movie thing. I don't want to know what those are called, but I got one of those on my TV that I'd got rid of cable because they were too expensive, and so I went to just where you do the thing where you can. But anyhow, I don't know how it works. I don't know what the hell it is. That's why I got grandkids. They set it up and we're squared away. But Norma Rae, it was on there. It's got a lot of good old movies on there. If you can find the movie, watch it. Norma Rae with Sally Field. Great movie. Okay, well, it's time to go watch a race. Time to go eat some fish. And then when I get home, I got all the stuff set up. I made a couple of Bloody Marys.
Union plug.
Just. Oh, well, that's the Union plug right there. The movie Norma Rae. Right there. It's a movie about them trying to establish unions within the textile industry.
I think I've heard of it.
It's a good movie. But yeah, check it out. And like I said, union. You don't want to pay for college. You don't want to be stuck working inside a building somewhere. Of course, that's something that can happen if you get into the construction. Into the construction trades. Eventually, if you want to, you can work up, get your buck in a truck, which means you get the little promotion in the company vehicle whenever they make you like a site supervisor, and then you can work up from there and become a superintendent, things like that, and eventually end up in an office if you want to. Many companies are looking for people to do that. If you just want to stay where you're at, operating machinery, doing surveys, doing electrical work, doing pipe work, structural work, whatever. There's so many places to go, so much you can do with the unions.
All right.
You got anything to say?
Not really, no.
Okay. Well, that was poignant. He has a way with word. Alrighty. Well, this is the Hebrew Hillbilly. I know I've been leaning mostly into talking to the Hebrew side of it on our behalf of the hillbilly side of it. There's been a lot where I've discussed some things, not a lot, but some things that I've discussed with the Hebrew side or the hillbilly side about the Hebrew side. As we get along, or as we go along, things will become a bit more equitable in each direction, if you will. Because there's like I said, there's so many damn things that are in common, that honestly, some of the things that I've been talking to y'all about, that if you were Jewish and you thought, wow, he must be talking or to the hillbillies about us. Some of those same things would be hillbillies that might be listening to me that are saying, oh yeah, he must be telling the Jews that this is how hillbillies, because there's so much more in common the two sides have than there are that separate them. And it's like I said, that it was a nothing transition for me. It really wasn't. I believe I was born a Jew. So, and I'll get into that too later. But there's a race going on, and I need to get to it. So, the Hebrew Hillbilly, producer Jeeves, signing off. Shalom.